Hi, my name's Sandy Jones, and this is the first vlog I've done. There's been lots of reasons why I haven't started doing the vlog, so I'm just forcing myself to put all of that aside and begin. I thought it would be appropriate to quickly and efficiently as possible go over my story so you know who I am. As I said, my name's Sandy Jones. I'm 50 years old and I live in Toronto, Canada. And I have a daughter who's 22, a son who is 19, a stepdaughter who's 17, and a husband. I got married for the second time 3 years ago. I grew up, and we live in Toronto, Canada. I grew up in Mississauga, an area just outside of Toronto, about an hour. It's a suburb. I was a child in the 60s and 70s, and I grew up in quite an affluent area. We weren't wealthy, but we certainly had everything we needed and much, much more. It was a very safe and very sheltered area and upbringing. I honestly didn't, I don't think I'd ever met even a Catholic before grade 9. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I probably had, but I wasn't aware. Kind of heard about Catholics. It's funny. My grandfather was a minister in the United Church, and there was lots of unspoken rules in our house, and one of them was you don't talk about booze or alcoholism. Another one was you don't really discuss problems and issues because it makes it worse. My mom really had that belief for good reason, for the reasons she had from her upbringing. And basically children are seen but not heard, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a closed family system. My mom was a real June cleaver. She stayed home and wore the apron and did all the household chores, and then went to the tennis club and bridge club, that kind of thing. She was a very kind woman, though. Very kind woman. Very loving mother, if not demonstrative about it. And my dad was a chiropractor in the pretty early days of chiropractors, really. Anyway, he did very well, and he's a very good man in most regards, but when he drank, he was a frightening man. Very mean drunk, sometimes violent. My siblings tell me. I don't really recall that very much, but certainly very emotionally abusive. Clearly, I mean, even just with one drink. We knew when he had one drink, but of course he drank several drinks after that. So he would, a true Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He would change immediately from quite a nice guy. Again, if not demonstrative, I don't mean like not hugging, kissing his children, saying I love you, not like that, but a decent man to a bit of a monster when he drank. I was trying to think of something that I forgot that was relevant. So I was the youngest of 4, and we were all quite close together. I was labeled the quiet, shy one. Just quickly, if you know someone who's called shy, or you know a child and you often say, oh, he or she is shy, I really, I just want to say from my own experience that I felt I needed to be that when I heard it, and I heard it often when I was growing up. I didn't like it, and I wouldn't want it to happen to me again, and I did not do that to my children. I caught myself saying it a few times, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to label my son shy, because it kind of shut me up quickly. Oh, I'm supposed to be quiet and shy. I'm not really supposed to stand out or whatever. I'm not using that just in this excuse. I believe that was part of it. Anyway, and shy also, to me, means afraid. It's really fear. That's what being shy is. And I was definitely afraid. I was terrified. When I went home, I didn't know what to expect. Was it going to be a really warm place with the smell of cookies and my nice mom? Or if my mom was out, as increasing when she was in the 70s, when she had her own car. And my dad, being a doctor, chiropractor, he didn't work just 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. He worked, some days he was home early, and some days he worked nights. So sometimes, half the time I'd come home and it would just be my dad, and my mom would be out, and he'd be drinking, and he was mean. He would pick on his children. He didn't really pick on his wife, but he would pick on his children, and he would criticize almost immediately. He would look for the fight, pick the fight, and humiliate. I often felt very humiliated with my father. Now, something I also did was hide in my room a lot and listen. I would listen because I couldn't stand not listening. I wanted some control. I guess that was my control, listening to the frightening sounds below. I hated it, the way he picked on my brother, who I was very close in age to. And but I didn't hate him. I hated the situation. There was a lot of guilt, and he had a lot of guilt. And of course, he'd try and be very nice the next day, and he wouldn't apologize. We wouldn't talk about anything, never. But the apology would be there in the way he treated us, like, because he'd be dripping with guilt. So I learned guilt. Guilt's a deadly thing, actually. And shame, very deadly emotions to carry around. And so that's the way it was. And I did very well in high school. I didn't want to be noticed, so I thought if I do well and just am polite, say the minimum, I won't be noticed, I won't be picked on. And I think I've carried that through my life. Did well in high school. I was pretty good in sports. I was popular or whatever. The B group. That was funny. There's a movie that talks about that kind of thing, the A group. And anyway, high school's a nasty place. Often social networks in high schools. I'm a much happier person being an adult, although it was a treacherous road. But that's okay. I'm very grateful that I found Destiny. Very quickly, a little aside, the reason I joined Destiny was because it's really the only forum, place, where I've heard anything that made just a lot of common sense to me. It's interesting how I haven't trusted my own instincts, because my instincts said that poverty is wrong. That's apparent enough. But that wealth was wrong, especially some of the wealth today, where our sports people and movie stars, or actually just many people successful in the 80s that I know, have millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's absurd. It seems absurd to me. If I say that in very many circles in my life, I am not a liked person, so people attack very quickly when you mention that kind of thing. But to me, it's common sense. It doesn't make any sense for these people to have all these millions of dollars that they're not spending, or it's in different pieces of real estate, whatever. And I understand more now. There are many people who are not visible, but have billions of dollars, of course, and control. There's other reasons why I'm very grateful to Destiny, to do with mental illness and alcoholism, which I've gone through, but I'll get to that later. So let's see what time it is, because I'm 50, I'm blind as a bat. Okay, I think I'll stop it and continue in the next interview.